Right, Rangers supporters gather in and settle down because there's a fresh update coming in from Ibrox that might just shift the tone of the season. Now, I know we've had a few quiet days on the transfer front, but the whispers have been building, and if you've been paying attention to what Danny Ralston has been hinting at, then you'll know he's not finished yet. We've already welcomed 3 new faces to the squad, and while that's a decent haul for January, the feeling among many of us is that we still need more. Not just more bodies, but more quality, more players who can step in and make an immediate impact, especially as the title race starts to heat up. I'm not saying we need to panic, but I do think we need to keep pushing because the league isn't going to wait for us to find our best form. The truth is, there's a bit of greed in all of us, isn't there? You want the team to be strong enough to withstand anything thrown at us, and right now, with the way the Premiership is shaping up, it feels like every decision matters. We're not just talking about making the squad deeper. We're talking about adding the kind of players who can change games when the pressure is on. You can see it in the way the league table looks, the way other teams are strengthening, and the way the momentum swings with every result. Rangers have been working hard to get back into the title conversation, and if we're serious about taking it all the way, we need to make sure our squad is not just good, but built for the long haul. Now, I'm not the kind of person who celebrates when an opposing player gets injured. That's not my style, and I'm sure it's not the style of most Rangers fans, but I'd be lying if I said the news that broke recently didn't feel like a bit of a boost. It's not about wishing ill on anyone. It's about recognizing how much of an impact one player can have on a title race. Heart of Midlothian have been ahead of both Rangers and Celtic for a while now, and they've done the double over us this season. They've looked strong, confident, and organised, and their main man has been a huge reason for that. So when the update came through that Lawrence Shankland is expected to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury, it was hard not to feel a shift in the atmosphere. Shankland has been in lethal form this season. He's the kind of striker that can win you games on his own, and he's been the driving force behind Hearts' attack. For them to lose him at this stage is a significant blow. Now, I'm not saying Hearts are suddenly going to collapse or that they're finished as contenders. They're a well-run team with a strong squad, and Derek McInnes knows how to get the best out of his players. But losing your top scorer for a chunk of the season is never easy. It changes the way you approach games. It changes the confidence in the dressing room, and it puts more pressure on the rest of the squad to step up. From our perspective, though, it does open up a window. It gives Rangers a chance to close the gap and put the pressure on. And of course, it's not just about what happens on the pitch. There's always the question of how a club responds in the transfer window when they lose a key player. Hearts might look at the situation and decide they need reinforcements, especially if they're still aiming for the title. But with Shankland expected to be out for just 6 to 8 weeks, it's not a long-term absence. It might not be the kind of situation where you throw money at the problem and bring in a big-name replacement. It could be that they decide to trust the squad they already have and hope someone steps up. Either way, it's a story that Rangers fans will be watching closely because anything that weakens our rivals is something we can use to our advantage. Now, while that's a big talking point, there's another twist in the transfer story that's caught the eye of the Scottish football world. Over the last few days, a lot of talk has been circulating about Rangers being linked with a forward from Borussia Mönchengladbach. The player in question had done well on loan at Sparta Prague, and the reports suggested Rangers were considering him as an option to strengthen the attack. But here's where it gets interesting. Not long after those links started to surface, the story took a sharp turn. Florian Plettenberg, a name many of you will recognize from the football transfer scene, claimed that the same player was actually on his way to Celtic. At the time of recording, the reports suggested he had already agreed a deal and was heading to Glasgow for a medical, with a temporary loan move being lined up. It was a bit of a shock, to be honest. 1 minute, the chatter was all about Rangers being involved, and the next minute, it was Celtic that looked to be snapping up the player. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is the most exciting signing in the world, because the reality is his numbers in the Bundesliga haven't been great. He's struggled to make a real impact, and the form he showed in Prague hasn't translated back to Germany. But still, the twist is what's grabbed attention. It makes you wonder where the original rumors came from and whether Rangers were genuinely interested or whether the club was being used as a bit of leverage. We've seen it before, where a player's agent will throw out a few names to drum up interest, and sometimes it's all part of the game. And if I'm being honest, I'm not too upset that this one didn't happen for us. There's been a pattern in recent years of Rangers signing strikers who haven't scored much or who haven't really shown the kind of quality we need at this level. Sometimes it works out, but often it doesn't, and you end up with players who struggle to adapt to Scottish football. I've seen it too many times to get overly excited about a striker with no goals or assists to his name in recent seasons. It's not that I'm being negative, it's just that I've learned to be cautious. Rangers need players who can deliver right away, not someone who needs time to find their feet in a league that is already tough and physical. So when the story broke that the player was heading to Celtic instead, I had a mixed reaction. Part of me was relieved because it meant we didn't have to take a gamble on a striker who might not be the right fit, but part of me was also curious about the bigger picture. Are Rangers still being linked to players just to create noise? Are we being used as a bargaining chip in a wider transfer negotiation? It's hard to say, but the important thing is that the club seems to be more measured in its approach under Danny Ralston. The old days of signing random strikers from Spain or Germany and hoping they suddenly turn into superstars seem to be fading, and that's a positive shift. We need players who fit the system, who are willing to work hard, and who can help the team in the immediate moment. Now, the transfer talk doesn't stop there, because there's another story that's starting to look a lot more serious. Rangers' loan signing of Andreas Scov Olsen is already beginning to feel like it could turn into something much bigger. The Danish winger has only just arrived at Ibrox on a deal that runs until the end of the season, but there's already a clear pathway in place for a permanent move. The club reportedly have an option to activate a buy clause worth around £8.6 million, and if Scov Olsen performs and fits into the squad, Rangers could make the deal permanent. It's a significant financial commitment, but it's also the kind of investment that could pay off if the player shows he can be a key part of the project. Supporters have been quick to warm to the new signing, and that's not surprising. Scov Olsen comes with a reputation and a pedigree that immediately raises expectations. He's the kind of player who can bring creativity and pace to the wide areas, and at a time when Rangers need to find more goals and more consistency, that kind of profile is exactly what the squad requires. Behind the scenes, the feeling seems to be that this could be a defining piece of business for Danny Ralston. If Scov Olsen hits the ground running and proves he's fully committed to the club, then Rangers could move quickly to secure him on a long-term basis. But of course, it's not just about the transfer fee or the potential. It's about the player himself. Rangers want to see someone who buys into the project, someone who is willing to put in the work and contribute both on and off the pitch. That's the key, and it's the reason why the club is being cautious. The pathway to a permanent deal is there, but it's ultimately up to Scov Olsen to show he wants to be part of what Rangers are building beyond this season. The timing of his arrival is crucial too, because Rangers are right back in the title race, and every game now feels like it could be a turning point. With that in mind, the competition for places on the wing has suddenly become more intense. Oliver Antman is one player who has seen his role reduced since the managerial change. He arrived last summer after a strong season in the Netherlands, where he recorded a high number of goal contributions, but his impact in Scotland has been limited. He started just 6 league matches and has only managed 1 assist in the Premiership. Since November, he hasn't been in the starting 11. And with Scov Olsen arriving, it's natural for people to start wondering whether Antman's time at Ibrox is coming to an end. However, the current thinking inside the club seems to be different. Despite the reduced playing time, the manager still sees value in keeping Antman involved in the squad. Rangers are not looking to write him off. They're looking to maintain depth and flexibility as the season reaches its most intense period. Competition is healthy, and having a squad that can rotate and adapt is essential if Rangers are going to sustain momentum across the league and in Europe. It's not just about one player. It's about building a group capable of handling the demands of a title run. And speaking of momentum, the latest news from the title race has given Rangers a real opportunity to seize the moment. Hearts, who currently sit at the top of the Premiership, confirmed that their talismanic striker Lawrence Shankland will be out for 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. The timing could hardly be worse for them. Shankland is the league's leading scorer and is central to Hearts' attacking threat. His absence means he will miss key fixtures, including the looming clashes with both Rangers and Celtic, and that is a major change for the title race. For Rangers, it's the kind of opening we've been waiting for. We've been applying pressure for months, hoping for a moment when Hearts might slip. Now, with Shankland out, there's a real sense that the balance of the race could begin to shift. If Scov Olsen can make an immediate impact, and if players like Antman respond positively to the increased competition, Rangers could be perfectly placed to capitalise on this turning point. The Premiership run-in is approaching, and every match matters more than ever. Right, let's keep this rolling, because there's more to unpack in the Rangers world. And if you've been watching closely, you'll know the next few weeks could define the entire season. The title race is no longer something that feels distant or theoretical. It's right in front of us, and every single decision, every single result is going to have a ripple effect. Hearts are up there at the top, but with Shankland out, that gap could start to close quickly. Celtic are always a threat, and they're not going to make it easy, but Rangers are finally in a position where they can start dictating the pace. The question now is whether the squad has the mental strength to take advantage of the opportunity. What's been noticeable lately is how the team has responded to pressure. Under Danny Ralston, Rangers have shown a bit more resilience. The style of play is evolving, and the players seem more focused on the collective plan rather than individual moments. That's a big change from previous seasons, where it often felt like we were relying on 1 or 2 standout performers to carry the load. Now, the idea is to build a more balanced team, one where the squad can rotate without losing quality. And that's exactly what we need at this stage, because the schedule doesn't get any easier. There's no room for complacency, And every match is a chance to either gain momentum or slip up. The arrival of Scov Olsen is part of that bigger picture. Rangers aren't just signing players for the sake of it. They're trying to add specific qualities to the squad. Scov Olsen brings pace, dribbling ability, and the kind of attacking threat that can break open tight games. In the Premiership, matches often come down to fine margins, and having a player who can create something out of nothing is a huge asset. If he can settle in quickly, he could be the difference between drawing and winning, between being competitive and being dominant. But of course, it's not just about the individual, it's about how he fits into the system and how well he links up with the rest of the team. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The rumour mill at Ibrox is running at full tilt, and fans are buzzing with talk of a potential blockbuster move that could shake up Rangers' season. Sources close to the club are hinting at a possible return of Nathan Patterson, the highly rated right-back, on loan, a move that, if it happens, would be seen as nothing short of sensational. Patterson, who made his mark with the Gears before moving on, is reportedly being considered as the key piece to bolster a defence that has faced its fair share of scrutiny this campaign. Those in the know suggest that negotiations are in the early stages, but the excitement among supporters is palpable. Social media channels are alight with speculation, with fans imagining the former Gears man slotting seamlessly back into Giovanni van Bronckhorst's plans. If we get Patterson back, it could change everything, one supporter was overheard saying outside Ibrox, reflecting the general mood among the fan base. His pace, defensive awareness, and ability to surge forward on the flank would provide an injection of energy that Rangers have arguably been missing. Of course, nothing is set in stone, and the club has been tight-lipped on the whispers, neither confirming nor denying the reports. But insiders hint that a loan deal is under serious consideration, with the aim of shoring up the squad as the season enters a critical phase. Patterson's potential return would not just be about shoring up the backline, it would send a statement of intent to the rest of the league that Rangers are determined to remain competitive on all fronts. If the move does come to fruition, the atmosphere at Ibrox is expected to reach fever pitch. Fans are already speculating about how Patterson would pair with the current squad, imagining the electric combination of youth and experience, bolstering their hopes. Critics, meanwhile, caution that a loan deal carries its risks, noting that reintegrating a player mid-season is never straightforward. Yet for the Gears faithful, the prospect of seeing their former prodigy return is enough to spark dreams of a late-season surge. As whispers continue to circulate, one thing is clear: Nathan Patterson back at Rangers is the rumour that has captured every conversation in and around Glasgow. Whether it's fantasy or reality remains to be seen, but for now, the city's eyes are glued to Ibrox, waiting for the next development in what could become one of the season's most talked about stories. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.